Hey folks, welcome back to About 12 Acres. I'm Ian Ortega, and it's been a while. Today we're talking about 1 year of ownership of the Summit TX-25 tractor. Let's get into it. Before we get any further along, I do want to state that my relationship with Summit stayed the same as when I purchased the tractor. I purchased all of this equipment with my own money. Summit Tractors knows about me, they know about my channel, but they have no say in what I can say about this tractor and what my actual personal feelings are about what I've run into. So just rest assured this is not a sponsored video in any way, shape, or form. Some of the implements that I've purchased: the rear blade that's currently mounted on the back, the grapple, and the bucket that comes standard with the loader. Let's start with the rear blade. I use this implement a lot. It's a great tool for grading loose surfaces, loose ground, and as well as a backstop. When you're working on hills like I have on the property here, I actually use this as a rear anchor so I don't roll backwards, because the parking brake is not as good as you want it to be on this tractor, especially when it gets kind of gummed up. That being said, one of the problems that I ran into was that the collar, which holds the shaft on the rear blade, is pretty thin metal. In fact, it's so thin that when I was grading the pad at the build site on the land itself, realized that the blade had come loose and was at an angle that I had not set it to. So I got off the tractor and I went to go see what actually happened, and the collar itself just snapped. It was a clean break in the metal, kind of a defect in the metal itself. So I paused it right there, took the implement off, kept it where it was, and I came back with a welder and I welded a new piece of metal to reinforce that. Kind of a defect on the manufacturing spec, in my opinion, because I wasn't putting it through a lot of hard work. It was what you would expect a 25 horsepower tractor to be doing with that blade. I wasn't abusing it by any stretch of the imagination. I let Summit know about that. They were very appreciative of my feedback because this is a pretty new implement that they are manufacturing. And they let the manufacturer that they're white labeling know about that. These pieces right here tend to spin a lot, and it's kind of annoying because they get out of level pretty easily, and you have to be very mindful while you're using the rear implements of checking your level, because they tend to spin just from the vibrations, usage itself, and those lock nuts up top, they don't really lock as much as they should either. One of the things I've really come to appreciate about the Summit tractor is the fuel efficiency. I can probably count on 3 hands in 1 year of ownership how many times I filled diesel up in this thing. And that says something, because I'm running it at pretty high RPMs, especially for bush hogging and when you're lifting heavy things with the front end loader. While I was bush hogging one day, my front loader started going down. I couldn't figure it out. Why was it going down? Every couple of seconds I had to readjust, and obviously it hit me like a sack of bricks. I was losing hydraulic pressure somewhere, and I realized that one of these bolts on one of these hoses had come loose, and it was just spewing downwards at an angle that I couldn't see from sitting up there. And it was significant enough where I had to just park it in place and run a tractor supply and fill up on the spot. But I bring that up to say, check your bolts. I've learned that over the course of a year of owning this thing. On mornings where you don't know what to do and you're kind of just, you got an extra 15 minutes to do something, tighten your bolts, check your bolts on your equipment, and it can save you a lot of headaches. I've learned that in the long run. I had to put a jacket on because it got chilly. When I hit the 50-hour mark on this tractor, I did the 50-hour service on it. That entailed changing out the filters, the fluids themselves, draining it all, cleaning out the filters on the transmission, as well as refilling all of it. I didn't film any of that. I was very caught up this summer with a lot of work, and unfortunately I didn't have time to make the videos that I wanted to make. But now that it's the time of year that I can make videos, here we are. Even though someone like me that has no mechanical background in terms of working on equipment or especially diesel stuff, I don't find it too intimidating. Everything's easy to access. It's relatively easy to wrench on it yourself, and it's kind of fun too, especially if if you're getting into it and kind of learning what you're doing. It's a great tool to teach you. One of the implements that I purchased with this tractor was the Bush Hog attachment from Summit. I really cannot say that I like it. It's a difficult piece of equipment to put on the tractor itself, just cumbersome. And one fatal design flaw that it has is that the implement itself ends in a point. And that's a problem, because when you are on uneven terrain and you're bush hogging and you're using that implement going up and down, at some point you back up, and if that is tilted in any sort of downward slope, as you back up, it just buries itself into the ground, and the full force of that tractor now gets transferred to that point on the implement itself, and it bends it inward. And it's very, very difficult to unbend. I learned that the hard way. I had to actually purchase a huge pipe wrench to attach it to the bottom and use the weight of the implement itself to unbend it, and I still wasn't able to get it back to the factory spec. Had I known that before I purchased this piece of equipment, I honestly would not have. I would have skipped the Summit version of the Bush Hog altogether and purchased something different that has kind of a rounded or a squared off back end. Hey, I really appreciate you sticking around to this point in the video. If you have any thoughts on Summit, if you've purchased one based on my advice, if you haven't purchased one based on my advice, let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear from you.